Ah, Google Stadia. I hardly knew thee. Back in 2019, Google launched their attempt at entering the video game market. Stadia, a service to let you stream games, in theory, to pretty much any device capable of connecting to the internet. But then it launched, and things weren't so great. And now it's 2022, and it's about to die.
It had a fancy controller and a pro subscription plan that gave you free streamable games each month. But here's the tricky part. Not every Stadia game was free, and the pricing was wildly inconsistent. So like say if you wanted to play the newest Assassin's Creed game via Stadia, you would have to shell out a full $60, just like if you were going to buy it physically. Or even more if digital special editions are your thing. And sure, the selection of games was never huge, but there were some high profile games on there, like Cyberpunk 2079. Wait, that was the year, right? Or maybe it was 2077? Oh, I never played it.
Stadia did work for the most part, but there were hardly any exclusives. Server stability varied wildly from game to game. The game selection was middling, and the pricing scheme was far more confusing than even trying to pre-order Sonic Origins.
Speaking of which, we actually did a video together last year where we both looked at Google Stadia in its prime and covered our thoughts.
Long story short, we weren't impressed.
And wow, people did not like our takes. Jamie even got a few death threats from it, which made us super excited to try more Stadia and totally didn't leave a sour taste in our mouths.
You never did do that planned follow-up video about the games, did you?
Nope, I canceled it. But I think this will make up for it. How about this? Google Stadia in memoriam. Because even if we weren't big on Stadia, I know a lot of people probably will miss this service when it goes away in January 2023, right?
So Jazzy just DM'd me on Discord while we were recording this, and she sent literally, "Lol, Stadia died."
I woke up a few mornings ago to an email from Google in my mailbox. It went,
"Dear Stadia player, on September 29th, 2022, we announced that the Stadia service will be shut down on January 18th, 2023. We're getting in touch with important information on what this means for you as a Stadia player." Which means, yeah, it's dying and on life support. Hope you aren't an indie developer expecting some Google money or anything.
It seems that after barely over 3 years from November 2019 for the initial launch to January 2023, Stadia as a game service is shutting down for good, and along with it came a bunch of issues.
First off, Google's decision to end Stadia was apparently not communicated at all to developers. As in, they announced this publicly, despite giving Stadia devs, as far as we can tell, zero warning.
Several indie devs with titles coming to Stadia took to Twitter to announce that they found out about Stadia's closure at the same time as pretty much everyone else. Even if Stadia wasn't going to be a massive income stream, it still was income for these developers. And it's like Google is pulling the rug out from under them here.
Are the devs just kind of screwed? Are the devs affected getting any sort of compensation from Google here? Or are they entirely SOL?
That question is not rhetorical, by the way. If you know anything about this, let us know in the comments below or even on Twitter, and we'll try our best to keep up with that. It really makes me wonder how the contracts for games that appeared on Stadia will play out.
This news and knowing how this is being handled really makes me happy that more games weren't Stadia exclusive. I read that The Quarry was potentially going to be at one point, and now it's on basically everything, thankfully.
But what does that mean for the games that are Stadia exclusive?
I mean, sure, you can count all of the Stadia exclusives out there on one hand, but these are still games that are locked to that service, and as of making this video, can't be played anywhere else. As per our last count, there's Guilt, Outcasters, Pixel Junk Raiders, Hello Engineer, and Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle, aka Pac-Man 99, but worse. Oh, and according to Google search itself, Octopath Traveler? Really? What the hell?
Did anyone, other than me and Jamie, ever actually play Mega Tunnel Battle? It was always barren for the few moments I tried to play it, and maybe that says something about Stadia as a whole. No matter how much Google tried to push Stadia, which wasn't much, I don't think they ever managed to angle things in a way to really bring people in. Think about it like this. Why pay for Stadia Pro over Game Pass if you have a PC? Or something like Apple Arcade, why add Stadia? Even with AAA titles and companies like Sega and Ubisoft backing them to various extents and popular indie titles on board, Google failed to prove why cloud-only game streaming, especially Stadia itself, was the future.
I think that's what I always found most disappointing about Stadia. It always felt like there was some potential there, some major potential at that, particularly if Google had opted from the get-go to go all in on it being a full-on subscription-based streaming service for games and courted some more devs early on. Every time I tried to come back to it though and just took a list at its weird half-baked execution, the entire thing just ended up looking like it needed some more time in the oven. And some early issues dating all the way back to launch still persist. Samurai Showdown, for example, is still nearly unplayable for me, thanks to lag that appears to be on the game's end. And it's just frustrating because some games are these messes, or some games have wildly varying quality, and some play just fine. And for context, I'm playing these on a gaming PC hooked up over a wired gigabit connection.
Speaking of concerns, I'm very concerned about those exclusive titles, just from a gaming preservation standpoint. It's something that both of us take very seriously. I mean, Jamie especially, seeing as how she's donated a few of the rarer items from her collection to a few preservation groups over the past couple of years.
So what happens now? Will some of these games just be lost forever? I know we've joked in the past about Guilt being the singular Stadia exclusive at launch, but it's a really charming little game. And even if it wasn't, the hard work that developers put in doesn't deserve to be lost to time. Video games are a form of art, and seeing that even the mediocre Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle may be lost forever has me concerned.
Yeah, I really hope those exclusives find a new home. There is word that a port of Guilt is coming to other platforms, but as of this recording, it's not confirmed yet. Now, shifting gears, what's happening immediately for the players? Well, let's go through the rest of the email we mentioned earlier.
After the email's intro, which we read earlier, it goes into availability, stating that though Stadia itself will be kept alive until January, whether or not all the games on it remain playable will be up to the developers themselves. So if Stadia has been your platform of choice for the past few years, know that your entire library not even last until the end. It then goes into refunds.
So Google has a plan to refund anyone who purchased any Stadia-related hardware over the past few years. Even though it was a streaming platform, that doesn't mean there aren't any physical items out there for you to get. There was the Day 1 Founders Edition, which included a Chromecast Ultra and the Stadia controller itself, along with similar following packages such as the Stadia Premier Edition and a Google TV package.
This reminds me of how Google for a time would outright send you a Stadia Chromecast bundle if you had a YouTube Premium subscription. Kind of wish I jumped on that when I had a chance, as the controller is really good and comfy.
That's the package deal I got. Not gonna lie, that was a pretty sweet deal. I mean, for all the problems with Stadia, I really like this controller. Honestly, it's one of the most comfortable controllers I've used in recent years. It's got a great weight and comfy feel to it, a nice clicky D-pad, the trigger buttons have just the right amount of resistance to them, and the face buttons feel super sturdy. It's just very well built. You can tell that Google went above and beyond in the development of this controller, and it's neat to have in my collection as a historical piece no less. Though it's a shame that you can only use it wirelessly with Stadia and you need to connect it over USB to use with anything else. Even on PC, I kinda hope that they make an update to add native Bluetooth support before the service shutters.
Again, wasted potential. It's like Google Glass all over again, except somehow more underwhelming.
Oh yeah, I should also mention that Google will not be refunding any Pro subscription fees. However, if you had a Pro subscription as of September 2022, you will not be charged for the remaining months.
And finally, the email wraps up by saying that you can export your account stats and data until shutdown if you so wish, and also that Google will be retaining a good bit of info from your Stadia account, probably to sell to advertisers or something like that.
Bottom line, Google Stadia promised a lot and delivered little. But the real question is, will it be missed?
Well, I'm sure it'll be missed by a handful of people on Reddit, sure. As is, though, I think many of us will agree that Stadia should be remembered with a resounding meh.
Hey, didn't we close our last Stadia video like this? The comment section's gonna eat us alive again. Anyway, I'm G to the Next Level, a good home for all things retro and retro inspired with a little tiny bit of Sega flair on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and all the things you can find at G to the Next Level. Search for that and you can find me there.
And of course, this is stuff we play, home of usually everything weird and retro. I have a Patreon, and you can see those supporters' names here. If you want to potentially support me for as low as $1 a month, more info is in the description below. I'd also like to thank G as well for coming along with me for this rather impromptu collab video. It's always amazing even just hanging out with him.
Hey Jamie, always a pleasure. You knew that with this breaking news, we just had to revisit it. You just keep your hands off my Stadia controller. It's a collector's item now.
So on that note, thank you very much for watching, stay classy, and I'll see you next time.